Back guys to my YouTube channel Cloud Crafting in Abhiworld. So today we in this video is about. So we are now starting the Linux Zero to Hero series. So in the Linux Zero to Hero series, I'll teach you that basics commands of Linux file management, user management, shell scripting, and many more. So let's dive into the today. Today I'll teach you the introduction of Linux, and now we see all the things: basic commands, file management, and user management, and shell scripting. Guys, today we see that like introduction of Linux. So we see that introduction of Linux, basic CLI command, basic commands like copying file, moving file, directories, and stuff like that. We will understand Linux file systems and the text files, also how to edit the files and how to change the file permission, stuff like that. So we will see also filters and redirections, which I feel is a really very important topics for a DevOps. And we will see user and group in Linux. We will see that what is sudo and how to use it, and also we will see software management like RPM, Debian, Yum, APT, etc. We will see the services and processes in Linux, and also we will see a lot of command which will be good to know being a DevOps or any Linux. So we will be doing some server management, and we will set up web servers and the databases servers on our Linux VM. So we will be working basically in four areas in Linux. So one, like, we will understand commands, files. So commands, files, softwares, and servers. And you should be really good in these four areas like commands and file system in Linux, and software management in Linux, and server management. So if you are in IT industry, you must have already heard the word open source. If you are not aware about open source, you may generally think open source is about free software. But open source is much more than that. And it's just not about the free software. Even some open source softwares are not free. Well, I totally believe that today in the IT industry, we have progressed so much because of open source softwares. So yeah, that's true. If you go back and look at the open source history, you will understand that most of the popular software that you must use, like must be using in either open source or it used to be open source. So what's really is open source? Basically, open source is a code freely available. The code which was used to create the software, that code is freely available for anybody to inspect, modify, and enhance, and then redistribute. So if you are creating a software and you made it open source, you can expect people around the world to contribute to the that software, make it much more better and more secure, more enhanced, and that way other people also become contributor to your open some source project. Now compare with the software that is developed by an organization, and let's say like in the a company where you have some few brilliant minds, heads, let's say 5 or 10 working on creating a software. Compare with a open source software where you will have having 100 or even thousands of people contributing to a software. So that's what open source software, it doesn't mean is it's free. That's common misconception. Now Linux is an open source operating system, or should I say open source kernel. So we get into the history now. So in 1984, the open source version of Unix utilities came in Unix. I am talking about which was distributed under GPL licenses. In 1991, a guy named Linus Torvalds, who really changed everything in the IT industry, literally. This brilliant mind created a Unix-like kernel and made it open source. So also this, like we have, when you talk about Linux operating system like CentOS or Ubuntu or Kali Linux or Debian or Red Hat Linux, they are using same Linux kernel, of course. So it's upgraded now. So let's say Red Hat has took the kernel and created its own utility packaging system and created a complete operating system, which we call it as a Red Hat Linux. Let's see some Linux principle. So which are very important for anyone to understand, and especially for DevOps in Linux. Everything is considered as a file, like including the hardware, your mouse, your keyboard, printer, everything will be considered as by the Linux operating system, and we can see that file, see that file. And when I say file, it just doesn't mean the text file. It could be any other file which we will understand later. In Linux we have a small single purpose program. We don't have a bulky program. We do have, but very rarely. Most we have a small single purpose program, and there will be an ability to change this program together to perform complex operation. That may really sound similar to continuous delivery, continuous integration, and where we have a small program. So small automation, we combine them together to perform more complex pipeline operations to avoid captive user interface in Linux. These That means we don't like the graphical, doesn't like that the graphical software next finish done right now. If you open a software or any tool and it is waiting for user input, that means it has captured the user interface. The user has to be there and the click or write something to so the program can continue. So we are going to avoid that in like we are going to avoid this. And being a DevOps also, you should avoid this, otherwise it's difficult to run things in the background or automate such things. Configured data are stored in text file in Linux, which is good. So we can easily make changes to the file, so we don't need to go settings and all the things. So that's why we take Linux. And configuring data stores all the things. So our next topic is like why Linux. So why Linux for DevOps, or why Linux for servers, or why Linux at all? Okay, first of all, it's open source. So we have like open source. Okay, so you get a huge community support. So you get new updates. It supports wide variety of hardware. You must have already seen that. It runs on your phone. It runs in your laptop. It's run your server, like that. And a different other hardwares of the servers or desktops. And there is a lot of customization you can do in Linux operating system. Most of the servers out there and are running Linux operating system. Like even some of the very popular supercomputer automation is so easy to do it on a Linux compared to, let's say, Windows. Now Windows is also catching up. Now you have a PowerShell, and new things are coming up. But when it's come to Linux, there are many ways to automate one thing in Linux, and the Linux is considerable, and as a secure operating system compared to the Microsoft Windows. But that could be a debatable topic, and I would leave that up to you. Now our next topic is like architecture of Linux. So a high level view, very simple. You have the hardware, which is your complete compute resources. Like here we have hardware, and which is your compute resources, your RAM, CPU, network, right? That's compute resource hardware. On the top of that, there will be a kernel. So this is the kernel which Linus Torvalds developed. So you will have Linux kernel which will read or understand the hardware. So hardware, the main part is kernel. So kernel read all and understand all the parts of the hardware. So and can pass signal to the hardware to the kernel, and to and through you to your hardware to cell from cell. Like you can execute commands from and accept a return. So cell talking to kernel and kernel talking to hardware. So this is very simple in the high level diagram. So this hierarchy is there: cell talking to kernel by using commands, and kernel talking to the hardware. So this is very easy. Like you understand. Okay, and you should also have a lot of tools built around the Linux kernel, which you can see starting from very simple commands like cd and vi. Cd is for change directory, vi is a editor, text editor, or cat command or ls commands are there. So to all the ways, graphical softwares also, like browsers, there will be a reader like PDF reader. Like there all the things are there in Linux. So so user will connect to those tools, which is turned and will send the information to the kernel, and that's the kernel is the Linux Torvald has developed. Okay, let's see some popular, in the next part we will see what Linux popular distro. So some of the popular Linux distro is will be like Ubuntu Linux, Linux Mint, Arch Linux, Fedora, Debian, OpenSUSE. These are the distro means like distribution. Many companies are there, so who develop, like Linux is an open source operating system, so it takes, like open source is kernel only, so it's take Linux system kernel and operate like by own base to develop the like Ubuntu Linux is there, Red Hat, Debian, OpenSUSE. These are the different distros is there. So these are the popular desktop Linux. So now we see the server. So the more like popular servers Linux operating system, like most popular name is the Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is obviously from Red Hat. This is a like considered as the most stable and secure Linux operating system, and it is not open source. There is a licensing for it. Then you have Ubuntu server here, and which is open source and quite popular, and my personal favorite. Like I would say this is the easiest Linux operating system, but some people will disagree like with that in terms of security, and we will discuss that. So then we have CentOS, which is similar to Red Hat, like enterprise Linux, but it is open source. CentOS and RHEL Red Hat are almost similar. So similar. So but CentOS is a open source, and Red Hat Enterprise Linux is not. So like you have a few more names, but these are the popular one, like Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Ubuntu Server, CentOS, SUSE Linux Enterprise Server. So we have like Linux distribution. So we have first RPM based, like and we have Debian based operating system like Linux. So now, so RPM based, like most used Linux distro currently in IT industry, RPM based. So RPM based is RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, CentOS, and Oracle Linux. And the Debian based is Ubuntu Server and Kali Linux. So Kali Linux is very famous for penetration testing by testers, and also from cybersecurity side. So for more information, like Red Hat is considered as a stable and secure operating system, especially Red Hat Enterprise Linux. You cannot download and install. I mean, you should not download and install software in RHEL Linux from outside. You download it only from Red Hat repo, like repository. So Red Hat is going to test all the softwares and
before it
packages
releases
before
it
it
to its
releases,
users.
like before it releases it to use its user, like same like Apple. Okay, so which will test the softwares very like truly for any security or for any performance flaws. But they then you have a Debian based, so here you get a lots software very easily, very easy to, like very easy to install, and it focuses more on user friendliness. So if you need latest and greatest in open source software, you go with the Debian based like Ubuntu. And so I'll tell you my personal preferences. So if I want to run servers, I will prefer a Red Hat operating system. If I want to use for DevOps for some automation purpose, I will be using Ubuntu, because I may need latest and greatest libraries and software to do some automation, and I don't want to get into software installation problem. So I'll prefer Debian based for DevOps purpose and Red Hat based for server based. So again, it's your choice, but you can do either of it on any of the operating system. Now we will log into the, like we will see and understand the directory structure in Linux. So we and see these directories, what is function and work. So but to get started with some important directories like home directories. So every user in the Linux will have its home directory. Now directory means really folder. Like if you are from Windows background, you will call them as a folder, but now we call them as a directory. So root user is an admin user, all powerful user in Linux, and its home directory is like root slash root, and a normal user home directory will be slash home slash username. So like Vagrant user in our previous videos, the home directory will be home slash Vagrant. And user executable command generally the commands that we are running in ls, cat, pwd. These commands, right, will be located in slash bin or slash user slash bin. So the user executable command like cd ls, which is located in slash bin slash usr slash bin. And also we have you can have them placed into the USR local bin, and or you can create those commands by yourself also. This command will be executed by normal user, or like so we have but for root user the command will be located in sbin. So here you see system executable commands. So sbin, so these commands can be only executed by root user, like a super user, like root user. You are like installing a software rpm command or dpkg command or yum or apt command, or adding a user like a user add command. So such kind of system admin commands, such kinds of system admin commands you use in this system executable directory. So configuration, so it will be automatically using. So if you connect some external devices like USB drive or CD, it will be automatically mounted, it will be automatically mounted to the slash media or slash mnt. Configuration data will be stored like in slash etc directory, and this is where we are gonna spend a lot of time, like network configurations and server configuration and user configurations, and all the configuration, most of the configuration will be in slash etc file. And any temporary data like you want to keep, you can put in slash tmp, and it's temporary, right? So there is chance of that getting deleted when you reboot. So be careful with that. Kernel and bootloader is located in slash boot. So kernel and bootloader is located in the slash boot directory. So and the server data here also we will spend, like in server data we will spend like more lot of time in slash war and slash srv, like web server you are using. So website files you are gonna put them into slash war slash www slash html, something like that. Or mysql data slash war slash lib slash mysql directory. Okay, so mostly the server data will be in this directory. System information will be stored in the slash proc or slash sys directory. Popular libraries will be stored in slash lib and slash usr or slash usr local lib. So and see all the directory structures. So these are some popular libraries we have, like directories we have. So now in the next video we will see by using this directory in the linux console. Like, thank you, and do like, subscribe, and share the channel for the 30 days 0 to hero bootcamp for linux. Thank you.